What is going on, Amazon sellers, and welcome to this week's episode of the live Amazon seller news and Q&A session with myself, Chris Grant, and my salubrious co-host, Chris Rasick. I just noticed your name on the pop-up. We've got some interesting things for you guys this week and our opinions. We've got some stats that we're going to share with you guys. We've got what is very likely going to be a seriously hot take on Clinique. We've got some credit card news, and we've also got a little bit of news about a retail establishment. And of course, we want your guys' questions. We're going to be here for about 35 minutes or so, and we want to answer any questions you guys have about online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, wholesale arbitrage, because it is a version of arbitrage, anything about selling on Amazon, your thoughts, concerns, questions, gripes, we'll take them, and we'll shoot an opinion back at you. So, Ryan, what's going on, man? Glad to see you here. For those of you here, don't be shy. The comment section is open. Whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, we're happy to see it. So, Chris, how you doing, man? You ready to get rolling?
Man, we had to really pick and choose because there was a lot that popped up.
A lot of good stuff this week. So this first one, I happened to find Sebation. Hopefully I said that right. The first one that I found is 42 Amazon statistics sellers need to know for 2024. This comes from Fit Small Business. Now, we're not going to go through all of these, but I want to go through them. And then if you've got something, if you've got a little extra editorial, I'd love to hear it in between each one of these. The very first one is something I found interesting, and we're going to be accused of shilling for Amazon here, but that's all right. So despite inflation, 89% of Amazon sellers are profitable, with more than half earning profit margins higher than 15%. Around 37% said they saw higher profits than in 2022.
Wow.
Right? First of all, those margin, and I know that, we want to make as much money as possible on Amazon, but retail establishments run on pretty thin margins, and they make up for it in volume. Right. Walmart in the past, they've run under 2%, but I think they've gotten it above 2%, even with, organized retail theft. Target runs, I think, right around 3% or maybe under 4%. I don't know what Costco's or Home Depot's numbers are because I've never really dug into it, but 15% for retail business is insane to me. So that's good news. Now, the other thing here we all know this, but I thought it was interesting. Amazon is, of course, the most visited online marketplace in the U.S. Amazon gets 2.4 billion monthly visits in the US alone, which is almost triple the monthly visits of eBay.
That's like, these are numbers that you can't comprehend just how large they are now.
Oh, it's insane.
That's unbelievable.
I also read that Amazon is bigger than its. So I used to say Amazon's bigger than its next 5 competitors. But I just read today, I can't remember where, but it said that Amazon is bigger than its next 17 competitors. That includes Walmart, Target, Home Depot, eBay, and I don't know what I can't name 17 other stores off the top of my head.
Is there any wonder the antitrust?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Antitrust warnings and communications to Amazon must be like Amazon sellers getting Voorhees letters.
Exactly.
Just
and lawyers just tossing them in the round file. Like
another person thinks we're a monopoly.
So this is one that I found really interesting. We all know that that third party sellers like you and I account for over 60% of Amazon sales. But apparently, the average seller does over 230,000 a year in sales on Amazon store. Now, that is an average. So, I mean, that does take into account the patterns of the world that are doing like what I think maybe a billion or more. I can't remember. But that's taking in the
Right.
anchors of the world that was the first $1 billion brand on Amazon. All right. So the numbers are probably skewed for those who are doing this as a side hustle or something like that. But to average those all out among the 2 million or so sellers on the Amazon platform, 230,000 is pretty daggone solid.
Yeah.
Uh,
You mentioned the disclaimer that it includes really large sellers, but it's worth noting that that number would also include new sellers, and very, very sporadic sellers too. So
exactly.
it's not going to skew up, quite as far as maybe we think. Like that's an impressive number. That's solid.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought that was very solid. Now, here's one that I did not expect. We always talk about Chinese sellers on the Amazon platform, especially in the US, but US based sellers export 260 million products globally. I think I mean,
Hmm,
I would like to see more, of course. I would
sure.
like it to be a much more even number, but China manufactures everything and we don't. But I think 260 million from third party sellers is pretty solid. Um,
Yeah.
I was surprised by that number. Now, this one is changing a little bit. Amazon and its third party lending partners lent $2.1 billion to independent sellers for capital. And the last year they had numbers for this was 2022. So they had or have loans or lines of credit out to Amazon sellers totaling $2.1 billion. I've seen some, $1 million loans out there, offers out there.
Mhm.
But most of them are fairly small, and I never would have thought it was that much money.
Well, it's now that you said that's Amazon and their partners, that's a
Amazon
combined
and their
number.
partner, yeah. So that
Okay.
includes, Marcus or whatever the other. I know there's one other lender out there
Yeah,
as well.
Lendistry, I believe.
Yes, Lendistry. Yeah.
Well, you know what? The offers are always there, or they were, before Amazon decided to sunset their own lending.
Hmm.
So maybe that's not that big of a number. We don't do public math, but $2.1 billion spread out to 2 million sellers.
Right.
Um, so and we know that it's just it's a percentage of probably sales, I would imagine, that
Yeah.
that the offers, to the sellers in good standing. So I wonder if that's really not that big a number as it appears by the
That's
B
what
word.
that's what I'm curious about, and I want to know what the power law is on this. Is it just the top 20% of sellers who are getting those offers? Is it the top
Mhm.
50%? So while that number could be spread across 2 million sellers, we know that not all of them are going to get that offer, you know.
Sure.
But even then, let's just say it's half. 2.1 billion across a million different accounts is probably not that much on a per account basis. That's fairly small.
Right.
um, my question also would be, does that number go up now that Amazon is out of that, out of the game? Does Goldman Sachs does Goldman Sachs kind of get unreined a little bit by Amazon and allow there to be a little bit more cash to be going out to Amazon sellers? Especially
Right.
based on some of the other numbers that we know. We know that we've got 15% margins. We know that the average seller's doing 230K, that kind of thing. You know.
Yeah.
All right, we're starting to get a few more people in here, so we're at 92. I appreciate you guys showing up and watching. Remember, we are also answering your guys' question. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. We'll make sure to get to those as well. Um, All right, here's one that's interesting. In 2022, what do you think the top 5 states were for number of Amazon sellers?
2022 top 5 states for Amazon sellers. Well, California and Texas are easy guesses
Very
based
good.
purely on population.
Yep, those are good.
Um, I don't know about Florida. Are they- I'd probably put them in there. I'm
Hmm.
scared about how many old people are down there. Spreading STDs in the retirement homes. But yeah, uh, I guess.
They're selling
Yeah,
a
I'd
lot of
probably
different colored loofahs to the villages.
upside down pineapple private label.
That's right.
Um, let's see what. So those are population guesses. I
Yep,
don't. I don't. I'm not sure which route I would go to fill out
those
the top five.
those were good. So we've got California, Texas. You're absolutely right. We've got Florida. That one was correct. Uh, New Jersey and New York.
Okay.
New Jersey surprised me. New York does
Yeah.
not. New York,
Yeah.
that makes total sense to me. Uh, I know that there are a lot of people who have a long history of retail in New York. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Now, the other thing that I found interesting is there are 5 states with the largest percent of growth of sellers on Amazon in 2022, and these ones, Florida and Texas, grew
Okay.
by the most percentage. Utah, Delaware, and Wyoming.
Oh,
Those were the
I thought.
fastest growing states for sellers in 2022.
I thought the Midwest would get some love on that one.
That's what I figured too. I thought
Yeah.
there'd be a lot of more folks in the Midwest.
Hmm.
Utah, that one made sense to me. I know there's a lot of people that are moving to Utah, uh, but Wyoming didn't. I mean, the only place I know of in Wyoming is Jackson Hole. Uh, so I don't know
Yeah.
what else
Does
is
Wyoming
out there.
have permanent residents?
Yeah, no, I have no clue. I just thought it was a billionaire's playground.
Yeah, it's just part-time
Yeah.
skiers and hmm, okay.
54% of Amazon sellers create their own product and brand with private label. The next
Wow.
most common sales model is wholesale, which trailed at 26%. I was very surprised by that.
54% private label?
54% say they're private label sellers.
Wow.
I thought that number was awful high. But
Mhm.
that really just means that the number of arbitrage sellers is a lot smaller than I expected. If those numbers are correct, that's 80% of the sellers on Amazon doing wholesale and private label. Uh, Someone's going to correct me if I did that math incorrectly. And that leaves 20% for arbitrage seller, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. I consider wholesale a form of arbitrage as well, although it is separated out a little bit there.
I wonder if that explains New Jersey being, because I imagine import is probably a big industry. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
Import
so
export is probably a lot based out of there.
New York, New Jersey, Florida, Texas, and California, those all make sense for imports. You've got
Right.
the Miami, you've got the port in New Jersey, you've got the port in the Gulf of New Mexico. Although I know it's not nearly as big. I know it saw a huge uptick when we were having issues during COVID, and then of
Mhm.
course we've got the major ports out in California.
Yeah.
Uh, Health and personal care products are the top selling products for sellers on Amazon. That's the number one category is health and personal care, which is not what I expected. I expected it to be home and kitchen. Home and
Yeah.
kitchen was number two. Beauty is number three. Groceries all the way down at number four, which actually I think is a good thing. I personally think there's a lot of room for growth in the grocery category. and then
Yeah.
apparel came in at number 5.
I wonder if home and kitchen didn't take the top spot because the replens wouldn't be as swift. Maybe it's a more of a one-off.
Could be.
Where you're gonna, if you're stocking your medicine cabinet through Amazon, you're gonna go back more often,
Hmm.
than
That makes
buying a
sense.
coffee table or chip
That
clips or
makes
whatever it is.
that makes a lot of sense. We've talked about this a ton of times. We've talked about the long tail, and this is one of the reasons that arbitrage sellers are here to stay. Uh, Online shoppers prefer to purchase at Amazon because of product range and availability. Uh, 66% of consumers who were surveyed said that was the reason that they come back to Amazon. Nearly 50% of consumers shop on Amazon at least one time a week.
Hmm.
That surprised me.
Yeah. Yeah. So product availability, we've talked about that with all the fee conversations that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Bezos's vision for the everything store, right? So mission accomplished so far, right? And then what was
Yep.
the other one? Product availability and
The last one I said was they shop on Amazon at least once a week. 50% of consumers. Oh, sorry, the product availability and range. So product selection, having a wide range
yeah.
of products to select from.
Okay, so there's your in stock. There are all the fees associated with being in stock.
Yep.
And also speculative proof that they don't want to kill arbitrage sellers. They need
Mm-hmm.
us to help supply the range of products they want to offer.
Exactly. All right, we're going to answer a few questions, and then Chris and I have a hot take. I want to let this percolate just a little bit more, get a few more people in here, and just see how many people we can make see red this afternoon. Because I think this one's going to be quite interesting. And this is not something that Chris and I like discussed in depth before the show either. We hopped in here like 4 minutes ahead of time, and we had the same idea as we brought this up. So we'll see what you
This
guys think.
this week is a Q&A and violence.
Yeah.
That's what we've chose to present.
Let's see here. So, Mr. Levine says, I've been out of Amazon for the most part since March 1st. I use Inventory Lab. Can you explain what I need to do for the new shipping placement services? Do I need to change preferences on Amazon? You do need to change those preferences on Amazon. And if you look in Inventory Labs, they are pretty good about putting together like a instructions on all kinds of things when they come out. So they've got like an FAQ section where they like give you really detailed instructions. I would also check there.
And that looks
Uh,
like Derek Jeter on the profile picture for Mr. Levine. So go Yanks, opening day tomorrow.
oh, nice. Yes. I need to get more into baseball. It's hard for me to watch, baseball on television. But I do love the game. It is a beautiful game. Um, Although
It
I
is.
am curious about the new rule about having to leave the bag open when you're going to, get someone out when it would normally be like a forced out. I'm
At
curious
home
how
plate
that plays
specifically?
out. Well, I saw it it looked like a second base
Okay.
to me when I saw it. So I'm rather curious. Is it just to try to minimize injuries, or is it to try to make the game a little higher scoring?
I Yeah, I think it's a scoring issue because they've also made the bases bigger.
Yeah,
So they're trying to promote more stealing in the game, and they're trying to promote the offense
yeah.
overall. It's
That makes sense. That's what makes it onto
yeah,
Sports Center. You're not making top 10 because of a, yeah, I mean, unless it's like a really great triple double or triple play that's just beautifully executed, but someone just
right.
catching a regular pop to left center field is not making it to top 10. It's someone,
Yeah.
it's Otani, RIP his career, I would imagine, but it's Otani, breaking it through the roof of one of those stadiums.
Yeah, the caught stealing's not making the highlight reel.
Yeah. And also, while we're on the topic of baseball, if Otani walks away from this, I will sign any pledge to free Pete Rose and get him into the Hall of Fame.
Yes,
Uh,
please. It's
so,
long overdue.
yeah, I agree. So sorry, Amar here says sorry for the little rabbit trail there.
It's a
Uh,
tangent.
but Amar said, I participated in a wholesale challenge with you and Corey. Do you offer a discount for the OA challenge? Unfortunately, we don't, except for alumni of the OA challenge. And we are closed as of right now. We started on Monday. So Sebastian says, I formed an LLC in another state, Wyoming, for a professional Amazon seller account. How do you go about getting ungated? Your shipping address and business information on the invoice must match. So you need to show proof to Amazon that things are matching up. Like, you can own a corporation in another state without a problem. There are a lot of corporations that are formed in Delaware is a very popular place, although it may be getting less popular after some kerfluffles that have happened recently. But you just need to prove to Amazon that, yeah, I own that particular, um, I own that LLC, but my shipping address is in another place. This is done all the time with prep centers. You've got a kind of a chain of custody. Shouldn't be a big deal. How
And
do you
see,
guys calc?
formed from another state in Wyoming. Further proof no one actually lives in Wyoming.
Exactly. Um, Gino, how do you guys calculate FBM shipping or rough estimate? Uh, so typically, when I do FBM, and Chris does not do a lot of FBM, I don't do a ton either, but when I do, I typically go to a place like Pirate Ship, and I just estimate it, what it's going to be, and I offer free shipping and bake it into my margins. I also try to stick to smaller items. I'm not often shipping things that are really big. I'm trying to say things that are under a pound, that I might be able to get priority shipping, stuff like that. Let's see here.
And actually doing selling returns on eBay, it will actually give you a really nice baseline for what you can expect out of shipping.
Yes. Kevin says, is it true that Tactical Arbitrage will be dropping the minutes cap? Yes, it is true. That is coming very soon. I cannot remember the date right off the top of my head.
So
But
next month.
yes, absolutely. They're also going to be introducing what they call a pro plan, or kind of an enterprise plan. That'll be 149. That's hopefully to help the folks who want to absolutely crush it with Tactical Arbitrage, and have like no limits and stuff like that. There will be caps on the number of concurrent scans that you can run. So, like, for example, I have a very old account that I can run 10 scans in tandem. Okay. Well, I'm probably going to be knocked down to 4 in tandem, but there's no more minutes cap. So I can run searches 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I don't have to worry about those minutes being eaten up. Now, the question, Tactical Arbitrage versus Keepa. I mean, Keepa is, you need to know Keepa, like, in and out, backwards and forwards. But I do think that Tactical Arbitrage is a solid tool, and worth the money. You should easily be able to find enough profitable items with it to pay for the subscription plus some. And I checked out Quick Search for the first time just recently, and there were profitable items in Quick Search that, I mean, I had them in less than a minute.
Yeah, I spent about 10 minutes and bought enough to cover my monthly TA bill.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
and then combine that with 4 searches running all the time again. I mean, it's the TA comeback tour is about to begin.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All Day FBA says, is it a good idea to source just evergreen products versus chasing sales and coupons? I mean, you can, if you can find those, that's okay. It might take maybe a little slower. But I personally am of the opinion that you should source everything, use those sales. You can replenish sale items and coupon items. You just have to wait for the next sale or coupon. Uh, there's nothing wrong with having, items that you only replenish every 6 weeks or, 3 months or whatever it is. If it's profitable, I say sell it.
Yeah. And there's serious ROI in spending some time trying to find unique coupon codes.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened again today. I got my lead list, and I ran it through my own coupon code sources that I use, and I found 15% off of what the lead list said the buy cost was. Right.
Beautiful.
So it met their criteria already, and then I tacked on another 15%. Yeah, it's the best feeling, because now you've built a moat against all your co-subscribers.
Exactly.
You know,
Do prep centers also assist wholesale? Yes, absolutely. They will.
get
Let's see here.
give them a heads up though. It's probably a good idea
Yeah.
if you're just starting. You
Yeah.
got
If you're,
all of a sudden gonna lay a few thousand units on them. Fair warning is a good idea.
absolutely. Yeah. Make sure they accept pallets. See if you've got to store a pallet there for a month or whatever, if they're going to charge you, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
docks versus lift gates, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Hector, what's the deal with wholesale arbitrage products being categorized as generic? Fast moving ASINs, it seems a bit risky to go deep. Can I make my own listing for a branded product? So don't sell on generic listings. That's really, you need to stay away from them. They in my opinion, they're ticking time bombs. I have helped people get reinstated who've been suspended for selling on them. They weren't doing anything wrong on purpose. They didn't know. And that's why we added a generic warning to IP alert, is to try to keep people off of those listings. Because if it's a brand name product and it's on a generic listing, you're technically, damaging IP, and you can get suspended for that kind of thing. So I would absolutely stay away from those. Let's see here. Does the data mention OARA by name? It does not, but I know that I read it somewhere else, and I'm going to do a little bit of research and see if I can find it. So let's see here. See if there's anything other questions I'm missing here. If I'm sourcing something used, what tool would help the most? If you're like sourcing books, you might want to look into Scout IQ. That's a pretty good tool, a common tool for books. But other than that, I mean, Keepa offers the used price data, so that if you're doing it online, Keepa is what you're going to want to use. I don't know of anything else I mean, there's sort of a way to hack used media into tactical arbitrage, but that's kind of advanced. Let's see here. You mentioned TA is lowering their price. I did not say TA is lowering their prices. I did mention that TA is lowering they're removing their minutes capped.
Which may end up lowering the price if you're consistently paying for, extra 10,000 chunks of scan minutes.
That is true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Let's see here. Can we discuss bundles? Probably not today, but we could talk about bundles down the road. I really need to learn more about them, to be quite honest with you, Mohammed. Will this live be available? Will this live be available in replay within the OA Challenge? Yes. So we're live right now on my Facebook page, FBA Today, both Facebook and school group, the VIP group, the OA Challenge group, and YouTube and Twitter. So we're everywhere. Let's see here. Chris, Keepa alert question. How would I set a Keepa alert on an ASIN that Amazon is currently selling on? I'd like Keepa to alert me when Amazon goes out of stock. So you cannot set an alert for when a particular seller goes out of stock on Keepa, at least not yet. What you can do is you can look historically at what the price goes to when Amazon's out of stock, and you can set the buy box price to whatever it goes to when Amazon is out of stock. That's the best thing you can do.
And a lot of times Amazon will lower the price when they're trying to liquidate the last few units.
Hmm.
So marking it, dropping under the current price may also give you a heads up.
Hector, what's the best way you guys keep profit track on an ASIN? I use Aura Repricer, and we'll get a different profit rather going into the Amazon SKU economics. So Amazon is not an accounting platform whatsoever. Seller Central is not going to help you at all. You really probably should use. You could use Inventory Lab. But you're really not going to know unless you like do the math in something like QuickBooks and or get an actual profit and loss statement. Um, that would be the best way. What is a generic listing? Generic listing is just that. It's a listing on Amazon that may be a branded product, like let's say Neosporin, but the seller who created it has listed it as generic. Let's see. For a few few of my products are search suppressed. I filled out the product information, but no change. How can I fix it? I'm not 100% sure, but you might have to use a flat file to upload the information that you filled out. Sometimes a flat file will stick where you just filling out the information doesn't. Outside of that, you might have to reach out to the catalog team and see if they can help you. Another tactical arbitrage question. Good news on the minute cap going away. Is their image comparison better and serving up fewer mismatches? They have said that their image matching is getting better, and I discussed this with Yoda the other day because I did notice some mismatches. But what they were is they were products where the source site has multiple sizes, and unfortunately, with the way that data is gathered from sites, there's no way around that at all, in my opinion.
They've claimed up
Diamond Lane,
to
yeah,
what 75-80% improvement in matches,
yeah,
according to them.
yeah. They measured it like something like an 82% improvement. Diamond Lane Drew says, "Hey, what's up, man? I appreciate you guys." All right, so Chris, I think this one's for you. Is there a good metric to base off to know if you should think about getting another lead list to rabbit trail off of, not just for the leads? That's an interesting question.
Um, well, you know what? The best problem that you should have is to have more leads than capital, right? Pretty much if you're running, in my opinion, this, take it for what it's worth, but because there are periods of time where you have enough capital and you could buy more, but you just run out of leads.
Hmm.
That was a struggle that I ran into when I was a new seller and I wasn't all that good at sourcing yet. Um, Lead lists are a great starting point. Um, I think it's great to see, for the most part, most of those leads are going to fit the criteria that that you signed up for, that they advertise and that you sign up for. So you're seeing a series of winners. So that has value, in my opinion, when especially being a new sourcer, because you're going to look at so many duds, and
Hmm.
it gets frustrating. You just over and over again. It's like, no, no, no. There's so many no's. Um, I think that's what leads a lot of sellers to think everything good is gated, which it isn't quite as true as a lot of new sellers think. That's kind of a statement made out of frustration. So if you're not in a situation where you've exhausted that day or that week's capital, um, and there's still stuff you want to buy, then I think there's some room for another lead list. More input, which it's data. That's all this stuff is. It's no one, and even I sell lead lists. Like no one should be looking at lead lists as go buy this here, end of transaction. That's the wrong way to do it. That's going to leave you with a bad taste in your mouth, and probably some bad numbers in your accounting software.
Hmm. All right. We've only got a few minutes left, and we promised that we'd try to piss you off before we got off of here. And if you didn't notice it already, you can see that Chris's name is Chris Rasick, former Clinique seller. Uh, we all know that Clinique became gated, hard gated, not just like, oh man, we got to go get ungated again. No, it's gone forever. And unfortunately, a lot of people got suspected IP complaints on Clinique after it became gated. Now, my opinion, that's not really a huge deal. I know that, they're not falling off as quickly, but I do think that will get cleaned up. Okay. Uh, However, Amazon just sent out recently an email to customers, not to sellers, introducing Clinique on Amazon. Uh, like it had never been there before. Okay, which that was for marketing purposes. Everyone knew that Clinique was there, and over on Twitter, this has really riled some sellers up, and has made some sellers talk about how this is horrible for the consumer. Prices have gone up on what they've looked at. Any consumer can look at Keepa, although they won't, and see that the prices have gone up. And this is Amazon absolutely screwing over the consumer. Those people are wrong. And Chris, why do you think those people are wrong? Because I'm right on board with you here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, like all of a sudden people are worried. Let's not put on airs. Like, we're not concerned with getting the customer the lowest price. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't start arbitraging with that in mind, so the social justice, just put that away, because that's, no one's buying that. And and most of the people saying it, like, read the bios of the people saying that too, like, see how they describe themselves too, and see how many contradictions you can point out. I take exception to the wording that people use. This is all the wording was, what, Amazon kicked sellers off of Clinique, and now they turn around and do this, and they think it's a slap in the face, and it wasn't Amazon that did it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Amazon did not kick sellers off. Maybe they actually executed, but they're going according to what Estee Lauder asked them to do, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and if you think about it, if you think as a business, which all of us should be, Estee Lauder is protecting their brands the right way. They are
Yep.
doing things the way it should be done.
And if I may add,
Yeah,
they're doing exactly what any private label seller on Amazon would do to protect their own brand as well.
correct. Like, and I think we have to separate the IP issue. I think that was more of a glitch. Um, I don't know if have we gotten feedback? Is any of that being retracted yet?
I have seen some people getting some retracted, and some others, it's taking longer. And I mean, honestly, Amazon systems are duct taped together, on their back end. So who knows what it takes? It could be a bot that issued that IP complaint, and it might
Right,
be a person who has to retract it. I have no idea. But I
right,
would imagine they don't come off as easy as they get put on.
sure. Which, yeah, everything's like that. So, like, we need to understand. Like, look up Google Estee Lauder brands, that phrase, and look at the list of stuff. The brands that fall under that corporate umbrella, and wrap your head around the fact that all of those are going to be gone. You're
Hmm.
going to get a letter, just like you did with Clinique, just like you did recently with Too Faced. You're going to get a letter, an email for each one of those brands.
Hmm.
Estee Lauder, that's the way they want things done.
Yeah, and Estee Lauder, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they own any drugstore brands. Okay, uh, not that I can remember. Now, L'Oreal, which is also sort of doing this thing, they do own some drugstore
Mm,
brands. So it's to be determined whether or not they also try to gate up their drugstore brands, or if they're just trying to gate their higher end brands. You know,
right.
I mean, honestly, it does make total sense. This is exactly what I expected. They don't want consumers to go to clinique.com and see the item for $33 and then go to Amazon and see it for $22 because we were able to pick it up at TJ Maxx or Ross for $7 and we're making a profit at 22 because it makes them look bad. You know, it looks like it devalues the brand. And I'm sorry, but Clinique and Estee Lauder and several of these other brands, I mean, that's part of why people buy them. They buy them because there is an image of it being a higher quality product, which deserves the price. It's the exact same
Right.
reason that people buy a Burberry bag or, a Birkin bag or whatever it is. The leather that's used in a Louis Vuitton is not really that much more expensive than what's in, a purse that might cost a few $100s. But the name and the brand gives you an air of it being a much higher quality item with a social aspect to it that I'm kind of peacocking a little bit. And I don't know how many women get around and talk about makeup, but I would imagine if people are like, oh well, I buy this particular brand and it's a badge of honor. Uh, and so I mean, at least they did it the right way.
Hmm.
They could have said, you know what we're going to do is we're just going to hire a company and we're going to start slinging IP complaints at every single seller on these listings until sellers get the idea through their heads that they're not supposed to sell on Clinique anymore. But they
Right.
didn't. They got it gated. We got a notice, to be able to sell it off. And then, unfortunately, the suspected IP happened. Uh, Like, like we both said, that's likely. I bet you that gets cleaned up. It's just going to take some time. Uh, I know that we're probably going to get drugged through the mud for this, but this was executed in the right way. It's easy to shake your fist and yell at the clouds and the people in the ivory towers at Amazon, but they did a good job on this, even if it takes away a very profitable brand for Amazon sellers.
Yeah. This is an old guard. This is an old company um, competing with a new brand of sales.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's stuff's being sold on TikTok, and there's all sorts of new methods that they're not really hip to, and they probably use that phrase "hip to," and that's part of the problem. Um, just like with me, so they have to do what they can. They have to protect the premium brands, and they have to do what they can to stay relevant.
Yeah.
um and you make a good point. Like, they could have gone about it the wrong way. What if they hired a certain lawyer that likes to play both sides of this, and they send an email listed as the second attempt because there's going to be a knock on the door with the first attempt that's going to arrive after the email saying it's the second attempt, telling you that you have 48 hours. You ignore the first attempt, and by the time you look at your watch, you've got about 6 hours to comply.
Mm-hmm.
um, no chance to sell out, like we did with Clinique. um, aside from the glitch, I mean, if you took care of the stuff, if you buttoned everything up in the 30-40 days, whatever they gave us, you've got no account health issues.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. So, Luke, appreciate that. Luke says it's a common sense and logic based take. I'll take that because not a lot of people give us compliments like that. So I appreciate it. And maybe they do realize down the road that they do need us vultures back to sell their products, to clean up their supply chain, or and maybe they don't realize this until TJ Maxx and Ross and places like that are absolutely overflowing with Clinique products. Because I would
yep,
imagine that TJ Maxx and Ross, they're probably buying direct from the company. They're big enough, they have the kind of budget to be able to do that.
sure,
So maybe that does happen down the road. But we'll see. Um,
yeah,
and Jim, you're exactly right. Yeah, your ability to be able to pivot when things like this happen, is exactly what is vital to arbitrage seller success. And also, in my opinion, it is one of the benefits of being an arbitrage seller. Yeah, in my opinion, we should never be going uh, hundreds or thousands of units deep on a particular product so that we can pivot when this kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we
you
put it
know,
this way: it's been at least a year, probably a couple of years for some of these. But is there anyone out there that's still hurting from losing their urban decay products? Anybody
yeah,
hurt still pining over Lancome?
nope. I
No,
mean, I
we
still
moved
get
on.
a little irritated when Instagram serves me up a Kiehl's 2-for-1 sale ad,
Right.
but I'm going to get
Yeah.
over that in a couple of weeks.
Well, that's just your ex dating somebody new. I mean, that's just, but that's
Exactly.
not. There's no business impact to that.
Yeah. All right. So, one last question, and then I need to wrap up because I need to go eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something before the OA challenge. Diamond Lane Drew, is there somewhere that sellers can find a complete list of hard gated brands? Not that I'm aware of. I would really love to be able to find something like that, but I'm too lazy to do it myself. Um, so I don't know. I will look though. So. All right, Chris, this was a fantastic show. Let's see how many death threats we get in the comments.
Yeah.
We look forward to them and we read every single one. And we appreciate you
Yeah.
guys hanging out with us and watching this week's episode of Amazon Seller News and Opinion. We've got a new podcast that'll be out by the end of the week that you guys are going to want to listen to. And then we'll be back next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern to do this all over again with you people. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great weekend.